The videos have leaked, and now we know that Bob Iger truly wanted the Walt Disney Company into politics. But the politics for the parks, well, they don't have a budget. And today we're going to show all of you, those of you who want Splash Mountain back, those of you who celebrate it being gone, we're going to show you how you all have been done dirty by the Mouse Messiah. Hang on to your hats, folks. We've got some info. Hello and welcome back to the Pro Channel. It is the happiest channel on YouTube, of course. And we're all smiles and joy and rainbows and sunshine because Vash Sky is here yet again. Vash, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me. I thought the happiest place on earth was in California, but I was wrong. This is definitely a nice place to be. Thank you, sir. And
Vash is here with us after having managed with some others to bring forth information about Splash Mountain yesterday that was just amazing stuff. Getting the finale out there so that we could all see it. One of the things we found out about the finale from Splash Mountain, the new one, Tiana's Rainforest Cafe Adventure, some people just call it the Bush. It's jolly green, that's for sure. But one thing about it is they're blowing all the budget on that finale because we're getting a tremendous number of animatronics in that final scene. 17 total animatronics in the ride, and that means that with so many, I believe 9 in the finale, it's going to be very barren the rest of the attraction. And so that is calling into question the budget for this. Before we get into showing you all what we have come to find out, and no, we're not going to do the finale again. We've got something brand new. I want to go to Bob Iger again, Vash, and just see what he had to say, because this ties into exactly why we have Tiana's Bayou Adventure, why we have the Hobby Lobby Flower Aisle Explosion. So here is Bob Iger.
Bob has talked about this eloquently since he's become CEO. I'll say a couple of things about it. You know, we've tended to shy away from politics. And in doing so, I think we've shied away from talking about issues that aren't political at all, like the issues that we're talking about today. Because we believe in doing so, maybe it looks like we're taking a stand. Well, in that reality, we should be taking a stand. By the way, I take responsibility for this. I was CEO for 15 years. And so I manage the company's public-facing processes and how we were portraying ourselves. And I think that we have to be less cautious, as Bob, I think, was just alluding to, about such things and not be concerned, like just commenting about what happened in Washington last week. That's not political on our part at all. We know that what we saw was fundamentally wrong and that it was rooted in hatred and disrespect and contempt and intolerance. And we should feel free as a company to comment about that without retribution. And another thing I want to say that I've learned.
Now, we're not going to play the rest of it, folks. We've played this a number of times on the channel. Suffice to say, though, that changing Splash Mountain was one of those things that was deemed political, but not political. And I just want to show you this, an article out of Polygon back when people were excited, at least some people were excited about this, June 25th, 2020. It's been that long ago, 4 years. And this was the original art, the concept art that they showed to make you excited. This was what you were supposed to be receiving. And so you'll notice the ride was supposed to have this beautiful, elegant tree with fireflies and lighting effects, and it was supposed to have turquoise waters, a boat sitting there in the tree. It was going to be glorious and amazing. And if we take a look now from Evan Patel, we're going to turn the audio off on that so we don't get in trouble, but this is actually what we got, Vash, and I would like you to weigh in on this. This is a video taken recently of the backstage area, but not really. I mean, it's only backstage right now because it's under construction. This is the queue for Splash Mountain / Tiana's Rainforest Cafe Adventure. And as we look at it, what we realize is there's almost no change at all. They painted the barn, and that's it. I mean, I guess they did some walkway work, but there's really not much here at all. Again, though, folks, this is still not the big news. We'll bring this to you right after that. But Vash, can you talk a minute about, from your estimation, the folks out there who are really excited about this, do you think they have realized yet that this is a very cheap kind of makeover?
I hope they have, because it's basically every single indication that we've observed has pointed to that end. Interestingly enough, you show that first concept artwork, and yeah, it shows the big tree and Mama Odie's boat and everything like that, and it looks great. But even at that time, we kind of knew that they weren't going to change they weren't going to make any significant structural change to the actual attraction itself in terms of like reorientating the track or anything like that. So you kind of knew from the get-go, it was like, okay, so this is going to be a little bit more modest than what they could do with this thing, but that's okay. It looks like there will be structural changes, and then those got pared back. Now we're not getting a tree at all. We're getting this kind of grassy mound hill or salt dome with the rock formation there and covered with Rainforest Cafe flowers. Okay, I guess that's fine. And then we're getting this, a recolored barn structure to yellow with this painted mural on it, in lieu of actually doing some more significant changes inside the attraction that would actually require money and time and cost. And it's like, okay, well, so this is definitely being pared back to a degree that we just didn't quite expect going into this. I think a lot of people were like, well, because this is going to be such a important attraction to the Walt Disney Company in terms of its representation of certain identities, that they would really go all out. And frankly, that's just not what we've been seeing, and I think we have evidence of that now.
And this may shock some people out there, but I'm hoping that Tiana's Bayou Adventure is not a failure. And that's because we're stuck with it for 20 years. So I hope it's not a failure. But the things that I'm seeing make me very worried about it. And that will have a cascading effect on the rest of the park, because if people aren't interested in going to see what was the most popular attraction in the park, then that's going to affect queue times and all sorts of things all throughout the park sort of flowing downward. Now, no pun intended there, folks. I know we're talking about a log flume ride. Let's go now to the news of the day. Okay, so we've set the table, folks, and I appreciate you being here with us until now. Let's get to it. You see, some of the folks out there who are even in favor of this Splash Mountain redo are noticing some things, and I am paying very close attention to those who notice and those who attack those who notice. It's very interesting to watch, because there's a group out there that they've turned this into something so emotional, and they're so ardently devoted to mocking and belittling those who wanted to save the ride. And I blame that on Disney totally, because Disney put this out as an emotional culture war kind of item, and that's what Bob Iger in that video says he wanted to do. So be it. But take a look at this individual. This is the Mountain King, who finds out that, believe your eyes, they're not lying to you. This doesn't look like Tiana. Well, why is that? Well, you might say, Vash, that it comes down to the redesign, right? Because they're not satisfied with making it look like Princess and the Frog. They're going to redesign the characters. But what if I just put this out there? What if it's actually because of a very low budget? We just showed you that they didn't really do anything to the queue because they don't have the money to. Doesn't look like Louisiana, doesn't look like the Bayou. It still looks like Georgia. So what if I told you that that's also what's happening here with Tiana? Take a look at this tweet. It says, "This looks like a totally different person. I don't get the point of making a ride about an already underrated Disney movie, but changing and erasing everything that made it recognizable story-wise and character design-wise." And if you look, that's true. The eyebrows don't match. The eyes don't match. The shape of the face doesn't match. The cheeks are puffy. The hair is different. Everything here looks different. So why? And of course, we've got the video, we've got the video down here showing. There's Charita Carter, who, by the way, she has had a successful tenure at Disney, but we can see the animatronic there, and it's not dressed up like Tiana. It's not in the iconic dress or anything like that. So what in the world is going on? Why does this character not look right? And you can scroll through and you can see that the Mountain King's not trying to be hypercritical. The Mountain King says, "I'd like to point out that I'm a huge Princess and the Frog fan, and I'm happy with the replacement of Splash Mountain. This commentary comes from a place of love." Now, goes on to say, they've removed the dimples. They removed so much. And if you look at these images here, they don't look like this animatronic.
Right.
Vash, take a look at this out of Daily Mail. This is an animatronic that looks much more like the one that's going in Splash Mountain. The nose is different, the skin tone is different, and the hair is different. Other than that, this face looks remarkably similar. Now, I'm not saying that it is exactly the same, despite what sources may have told me. I'm not making that claim. What I am saying is that Disney has a history, when they're under budget constraints, of reusing faces and masks.
Oh, yes.
You'll notice that some of the family from Carousel of Progress, that they're reused in Spaceship Earth. And there are a number of animatronics that are used that way. But I don't think we've ever seen this done before when it was a main character. And I would just say, folks, again, I'm not claiming this to be absolute 100%. But if you take that face and you switch out the nose and then the hair and the skin tone, I think that's possibly why this Tiana doesn't look anything like Tiana. Vash, is this, in your estimation, your opinion, is this kind of yet another example that they didn't want to put money behind their virtues?
I think so. I think so. This is I think a half-hearted effort, even if you don't necessarily believe the fact that the assets of the Belle animatronic were used for the Tiana animatronic. You can definitely see that there is. It just doesn't necessarily look like the iconic character that we know from the 2009 Princess and the Frog film. And people are saying, well, she's a little bit older. And it's like, well, Ralphie's still a kid. So how much did she age in the time between her transformation from a frog into a princess and in the establishment of her food co-op? It must not have been that long. That is for sure. And, you know, Imagineering has a history of doing this. Interestingly enough, okay, so the Hall of Presidents, for example, right? A lot of people, when going from the 44th president to the 45th president, believed that it was going to be a candidate on the ballot who was going to be elected. Well, it turns out that person was not elected, another one was. However, Imagineering was already in the process of creating an animatronic surrounding that first candidate, and they had to switch up on the fly as the election results came in. And the final product was one that was not a good showing for Imagineering. I'll just put that kindly right there. So we've seen them do stuff like this, and it doesn't surprise me that they would use the skeletal, let's say, framework for a Tiana animatronic. We actually heard that initially that they were going to do that, but taking it one step further from the head and the face and stuff like that, I don't think a lot of people have anticipated that process.
What if the frame for the head for the Belle animatronic was such that they couldn't change the facial features without it being expensive? And so the nose is exterior. Okay, so the shape of Tiana's head is not the same shape as Belle, right?
Yeah.
We can say that.
Yeah.
So the issue would be then, okay, can you then take that same skeletal structure that's in the animatronic,
right,
and can you shrink the head without the mechanisms being altered? And I'm thinking they looked at it and said, I'm just thinking here, thinking they looked at it and said, that's too expensive. Instead, let's just go with what we've got, and we'll change the nose, and we'll recast the color for the skin, put a new wig on it, and call it a day.
I think that was
not even close to the same. I mean, that is Belle's. That is Belle from Beauty and the Beast. That is her facial structure.
It is, and I think that was my thought process as well. I think a lot of people thought, okay, well, if you use the body and then put a brand new head on that same skeletal body, then you'll be all right. Apparently, they didn't go that direction, though. So I think your thesis here is 100% correct. It's like, okay, well, if we do any manipulation underneath this sculpt here, that's going to be a lot of work. Let's just kind of work around it. But being true to the nose, and they've, because I guess there was a controversy surrounding that with Wreck-It Ralph 2 and everything like that. So it's like, okay, we're gonna get that right for sure. But then we're going to do this new hairstyle right here because we want to. They made a lot to do about this when unveiling these versions of Tiana that we're seeing.
Vash, what if they chose that hairstyle because the animatronic and the mask as it existed for Belle didn't have places created for where they needed the hair to cover? If you look at Tiana with the tiara on, you'll notice the hair is pulled back, and that would reveal parts of the skin, the scalp, the back of the head, etc. That isn't where Belle's hair is. I'm just There's a lot going on here.
That's an interesting idea.
When you start, Vash, when you start to think about, okay, why in the world? I always try to think about, why do they do these things?
Sure.
Why in the world would you redesign an iconic character that people love, and they love the character in her iconic appearance? Why would you redesign and make something brand new? And it's like, oh, money. Because it was going to cost more. Oh.
Well, and we've seen this throughout the attraction, honestly. Like the flowers, for example, put up in the in some of the sets in the actual attraction itself. You know, you see a lot of this foliage and landscaping, and it's like, well, we can't necessarily see the sets or identify them in any way. Why is that? It's like, well, a lot of those sets are made out of concrete in order to resist water damage from this attraction being up. It was an innovation when establishing Splash Mountain. It was a tremendous cost, but it's like, okay, well, if we bear the cost up front, we don't necessarily have to maintain these things as they get water damage down the line. So you would take jackhammers to change these things. We don't have time for that. We don't have the money to do that. We don't have the resources to do that. So we're going to put plants everywhere. That's what they are doing.
Right, yep,
That's what they've been doing.
Right. Well, Vash, again, we're not hoping that this attraction fails. We're going to cover it accurately. We'll have that Park Place personnel down there this summer to be there at Disney when this thing opens. We'll have coverage. We'll play it fair. But I think in the end, what I would like, and the people who are so fervently in hatred of Splash Mountain now because they were told by Disney it's time to be in hatred of it, they probably didn't make it to this point of the video. But I will say that I hope that everybody, whichever side of this you're on, that you recognize that there are some serious budget issues here and that you did not get and you're not getting what was promised. And that's, to me, that's the greatest sin, because you're really giving a lackluster effort, in my estimation, to this character. And Tiana and Princess and the Frog, I think, deserve better than being thrust into a controversial attraction change with a budget that, if this doesn't go over well, it's going to be so bad.
Can I give you one more scoop, Pro, for your
please,
your listeners?
Please, Mr. Honey Badger.
Thank you. We've been talking around this for a little while here, and I just got confirmation on this from somebody I trust very, very much, who sat down with Tony Baxter recently, and this person asks Tony Baxter, "Hey, look, listen, are you still working on this Splash Mountain redo Tiana's Bayou Adventure?" He says flat out no, and you can tell everybody that I'm not on it. And apparently he lost enthusiasm for the project based on the choices that they were making. Like, for example, nobody wants to see, in his words, nobody wants to see Indiana Jones Tiana. And well, that's what we're getting here with this, this version in this safari outfit that doesn't actually
say she's chasing the MacGuffin. Is that what you're claiming? Is that there's a chase for a MacGuffin and it's
yes,
New Orleans style? Wow, that's a bad idea. That is a really, really bad idea.
Right. So
people want to go experience the movie. That's what they want.
Exactly. And that's why Tony kind of, he was on the project at a certain point, and then he just completely backed out of it, because it was like, people want the movie. They want those iconic scenes. They want that iconic music. They want the iconic characters like Dr. Facilier, Ray the Firefly. They really want to experience the movie.
We believe he was brought on to shut him up. That's my personal opinion. So It doesn't surprise me that he had enough of being shut up.
Yes.
Wow. Well, what a scoop you've got there, Vash, and I appreciate you bringing that out to the audience. I'm sure they're appreciative. And again, folks, we're not hoping for it to fail, but man, the budget and the vision, there are issues here galore. All right, well, folks, that's it for today. We have a tremendous story that we're working to bring you next week. There's so much. It's so amazing how fast things go, but it's going to touch on the Splash Mountain issue, although it's way, way bigger. So hang with us. We've got something major we're going to reveal next week. We hope that we'll touch on a vast, I don't want to say conspiracy, but a vast issue that is inside the media industry that needs to be brought out. We are looking forward to bringing that to you. We're working on it. It's so big that we have to get ready for that. So hang with us. And in the meantime, help us out by liking this video, share, subscribe, and when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. Vash, you are co-anchor of a little YouTube channel that hit 10K, That Park Place, in record time. Fantastic job, Vash. Are you guys going to celebrate or what?
We are. We definitely are. We're going to have our stream that we always do Thursday at noon. And I believe, I talked with Jonas about this, but I believe he was saying that we're going to have a Friday stream as well. That'd be at 10 p.m. Eastern, just like it was last week. So we will be celebrating, folks. It is a tremendous honor. It is a tremendous privilege to be in this position. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thank you so much for subscribing. I mean, like Pro always says, you are the electricity that powers this thing, and we have just, I mean, we were just blown away. We had no idea we were going to hit this milestone so quickly. So thank you so much for making this all happen. Sincerely.
Folks, go check out That Part Place, Thursdays at noon Eastern, and this Friday, a 10K celebration with membership starting Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern. All right, as we always say, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
My brain is fried and I can't think of things to do to people, like Jonas or Culture. I mean, leaving them in this place of what's next is ideal and all, but other than going to an extreme that would rip them limb from limb or something, I got nothing. Jose, what do you think?
My name's Jose. We could reenact the chess scene with that Greg from Kocho Casino Royale.
What? That doesn't even make sense. That's weird. No, I said investigate.
Where were you keeping that?
You guys could do that. Or you could go to that part. Ow! Oh, my head. Why'd you do that, man? You guys are insane. Oh, I'm out of here.
Jose, I think deep down, we really understand each other. Or not. I know. I need one of those White House translators, like for Joe Biden. That'll help me with him. Perfect. Well, maybe you can get them on eBay or something.